Special guest is Ivy Robinson, a fashion model, musician, pageant participant, and judge, actor, and commercial spokesperson. Let's learn how Ivy became a gifted and talented person with many gifts beyond measure. This is a recording of a live broadcast, so expect some imperfections during the show. There was some editing performed on the original recording. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Supporter History podcast. My name is Greenstein, the founder and producer of Supporter History Creators. The goal of the organization is to level the playing field for underrepresented creators and artists so that they have the same opportunities as everybody else to get their works created, distributed, and seen. I'm also one of the directors of the Mellow Media Foundation. It's to fight human trafficking and part of safe haven for So, I'm so excited tonight to have as our guest, Ivy Robinson. She said that she is a master of all talents. Makeup, fashion art, pageants that the judge, let's say hi to Ivy Robinson.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Alan, for having me. And yes, I'm Ivy Robinson, and it is a pleasure to be here. I'm very delighted to be a part of your podcast network. I am first and foremost, very spiritual. I was born and raised Florida, a native Floridian, born and raised in West Palm Beach, Florida, a native in my hometown. I grew up in the area of Broward County, a part of Pompano Beach, Florida, but was born in West Palm Beach, Florida, South Florida. And I lived there all my life, and I actually grew up in my father's church as what we call PK, as a PK kid, preacher's kid. My father was a renowned pastor and superintendent for 47 years, and I discovered that I had talent at a very young age. As a young girl, I sung in the youth choir, the little girls, kids choir and stuff as a little young youth choir, children. And from that, I developed skills, and, I learned later on, some of the older women in the church saying that, Ivy has a voice, she has a voice. And from there, that's where I began to grow as a young singer in my father's church. And then as I got older, my parents both started, hearing me sing in his congregation. And then that's when they started wanting to utilize me as a solo vocalist. And I would always sing for my father's every once a year pastor anniversaries, from his banquets in his church, as well as their jurisdictional conventions, convocations, state meetings, national convocations as well. And so that's where I developed my love for as a singer. And I decided, as I got older, that was something that I really felt very passionate about, that I would want to do this as a profession. And I seek that out to do. So that's just one of my many talents of, discovering that I had vocals and I had a voice, and that, I could share with the world. And so that's where I started my humble beginnings in my father's church, in his ministry. And then from that, so I went out and ventured to explore my gift in that.
Okay. Well, we'll be talking more about your music and your musical career a little bit later. But
Okay.
more. Well, you've already given us a good start, and there'll be a little bit more about that later. But first, I want to talk about your career in fashion and modeling. Yeah. So tell us
Yes,
how
yes.
you got.
Well,
Tell us,
yes.
yeah, tell us how you got started in that and what kind of training that you had.
Okay, well, for us, the modeling aspect of it, I even knew when I was younger. I think I was like the age of 12, 13 years old. And I used to watch television and I would see some like, like some shows where I would see like various models and stuff. And so I learned early on that that was another, something I had interest in apart from a singer, being a vocalist. And I said, wow, I knew very young that I loved like fashion anyway. And so I wanted to be able to capitalize on that also as well. So you would see these two particular models all the time, like on the television. And I just like really like they became like my idols. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to be like a household model one day, because they're like the household models are actually the high end model runway models, and you have to be a certain height. Back then you have to be like at least five 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 nine 5'10". It was never like it is today, however. So with that being said, one of the top models from the early 70s was Beverly Johnson and Janice Dickinson. And I was like a very diehard of both those models, and they were just my idols. And I always say, oh, when I grow up, I'm going to be just like Angie Dickinson and Beverly Johnson. So, when I graduated from high school, and then I was given a academic, no, sorry, athletic, scholarship for track and field. And that I was an athlete as well during my high school years. And I knew I want to go to a prestige modeling school, but the headquarters was in New York, and that was the same modeling school Beverly Johnson and Angie Dickinson also graduated from as well. And I said, when I get out of school, when I graduate, I was like, I'm not going to college. I don't want the scholarship. I want to go to modeling school. And the coach had said, Ivy, you were the number one athlete on the girls' track team. You earned this. You earned the scholarship for your college to Florida A&M. And I say, no, I'm not going to college. I would love that, but I don't want to do that. I want to be a model. I always wanted to do that, along with my music. I want to be a model. So however, the coach called my parents up and told them they were giving me, the guys who was offering me a 4-year full ride to college, and I wouldn't accept it. But my father, it was like, they're very old fashioned back in those times. And he said, well, I know Ivy mentioned something about she wanted to go to this modeling school. And I told her, yes, we will support her with that. And so I went on to the same modeling school, but it was in Fort Lauderdale in Las Olas, Florida, the same prestige modeling school. Janice Dickinson, the model, and Beverly Johnson both attended. So I went to modeling school for John Robert Powers, and I became a model, and I traveled like all over the States. I traveled, and I loved it. I modeled for a lot of huge like household top designers. And then I did that for like a consecutive like 8 years. And from that, and then I was like, I really want to jump into my music. And that's how I got into the modeling, because I was a model. So I was picking up, agencies was sending me to like jobs and stuff to model back then for like stores, like big name stores like Bird Eyes, George Marsh, all those stores back in that time, during my time. And then too, they would send me like to do like commercials. I did a few commercials in Florida. I landed a really pretty cool commercial, which one I never forgotten. It was a Danny yogurt commercial. So I've been in the modeling industry, and I have traveled like all over the United States and some countries. I've been doing this for like 30 plus years as a professional model. So I've been modeling for for numerous, countless designers. I've even have modeled in New York Fashion Week several times. I've I've also had the opportunity to model for a TV actress and author, Vivica A. Fox from television. I had the opportunity to be in one of her shows. She put on a modeling show in North Carolina Fashion Week, and that was very huge for me. I was excited about that. Got to meet her personally and take pictures and all that stuff after the show. So I have had just a long history of so many things when it came to the modeling aspect of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, of course, I remember Janice Dickinson. She was one of the judges on America's Next Top Model, of course. Yeah.
Love her.
Yeah. So, let's see. So you said you have participated in New York Fashion Week?
Several times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this year you were going to have a first. What fashion show are you going to later this year?
Well, I was asked from several designers to walk in New York Fashion Week, but I decided that I won't do New York Fashion Week this year, only because I've been given the opportunity to do Paris Fashion Week, and I've never done Paris Fashion Week, so that is going to be a very huge thing for me and for designer, and I'm very excited to be one of her models, to model my first time ever in Paris Fashion Week. So I'm looking forward to that. So that's the reason I turned New York Fashion down, because it's kind of a little too close to proximities to going to Paris, like 1 month or like maybe a couple of weeks right before Paris. And so I try to just kind of, for myself as a professional, because I wear many hats, because outside of being a model, being an international recording artist, a producer, songwriter, composer, outside of all of that, I am also, because I'm a pageant, I've done pageantries for years too, in between as a model. So I hold the title of Miss Florida from 1986. I was Miss North Carolina 2022. And so from all that, I've been a panelist judge for pageantry since 2002. So I'm a panelist judge for Miss USA, Miss Teen USA, and Miss Universe. I'm a panelist judge. I've been judging pageants as well. And so you have the opportunity, when you've been a title holder, you can pick and choose, like when directors reach out to you, email you, call you, Ivy, are you interested? We looking for a judge for like this pageant here in this state or that state. And so it's just kind of nice to be able to say, yes, I want to do that one because I've never been there, or say no, I will pass on that. But it comes with a lot of prompts. I love doing pageantries because it gives young women opportunities to just fulfill like their dreams and stuff, and win that crown. It's very rewarding, but so breathtaking to know that you beat out like all X amount, all of these girls, and you won that crown. So it's I know what it feels like to be the winner, to win that, be the first to just win that prize. So, and I know for girls who competes in these pageantries, it's like a dream come true for them, and when it happens for them, it's just so rewarding. And and you have helped delegated, you have helped on the panelists to choose the best one to win that crown. So yeah, for me, I just love everything that I do, because I feel like God has truly blessed me. People always say, Ivy, you are so talented. I say yes, but I say there's multiple talented, but those talents only come from God Himself. I'm just humbly blessed to have the talents that I have, that He has gifted me with, and I'm just humbled by it. It's and I can't say that enough. I thank God every day because he has opened many doors for me, and I've had experience to do so many things that I love. And then also you do what you love, and then to get to, it's one thing to get paid to do, and also the things that you love to get paid for them. But it's always so nice to be able to give back, because there are some things I do for charity. I give back. I've done a lot of charities. I have even sung for charities, giving back just giving back. And that means a lot to me, to be able to give back.
Yeah, well, that's great, and I'm so happy that that you have all these abilities, and you love what you do in all these different aspects, and we'll be talking more about that. But first, we're going to pause for a brief commercial, and we'll be right back. I'm Alan Greenstein, founder and producer at Support Our Hashtag Creatives. At Support Our Hashtag Creatives, I offer a number of services to support those developing a project. Check out the services tab of my website at supportourcreatives.com. If you are interested, please use the contact tab on my website or email me directly at alan@supportourcreatives.com. Okay, we are back. Now, you mentioned you did a commercial for Dan & Yogurt, and apparently this has stuck with you because you told me that you still remember the lines from that. So I would like, if it's okay with you, I'd like for you to do that commercial for us right now.
Wow, and my kids always would say, Mom, that's crazy. And like my friends, my girlfriends, they like, I've never seen anything like it, because my uncle, who passed away like 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago, he was a renowned author and PhD doctor. And so he used to say, Ivy, you can't tell you anything because your brain is like an elephant. You retain anything someone say word from word, you will remind them. He said, if I don't mean anything, I'm not going to tell you, because you will definitely remind someone what they said word for word. And he never liked that about me, and we would laugh about it. But I've known this commercial. I was blessed to have the opportunity to do a Dan & Yogurt commercial. That was back when I lived in South Florida, my hometown, and I was given the script for that commercial. I learned it. I had it down to the T, and it was back in 1981. It was, and I have always tried to find it, but I could never find it. But I had the opportunity to do that commercial. And at that time in 1981, and I still know it to this day because it was one of my favorite commercials ever, because that was like the one I've ever done. And it says, it goes, I'm one of those skinny models everyone's always kidding. Beautiful skin and bones. But a lot of them wish they were skin and bones too. And they could be if they worked at it. Exercise, I get plenty of that on the runway. And the other part is, delicious Dan & Yogurt. When I feel hungry, I eat my snacks this way. It comes in 6 delicious flavors too. Skin and bones, sure. But as the photographer says, what bones? And I know my friends will fall out over that, because I remember when I was single and I lived by myself, like early on, I had my own apartment, my very first apartment. And back then you had like the machines, you had to record your voicemails with the phone to connect, that computer, whatever that thing was, the tape recorder. We didn't have the phones with your voice message on it. It had the one you go home and press the button to see if you have a message, that one. Yeah. And I never forget, I recorded my introduction when I would be away from home, and when my machine come on, and my friends would say, you're not like no one else, Ivy. You are just like over the top, just radical. Yeah, just you're too much. When they would call my house and the machine come on, it didn't say, you reach Ivy Robinson, please leave a message after the beep. My machine said, I'm one of those skinny models. Everyone's always kidding. Beautiful skin and bones. And a lot of them wish they were skin and bones too. And they could be if they worked at it. Exercise, I get plenty of that on the runway. And the other priority is delicious standing yogurt. When I feel hungry, I eat my snacks this way. It comes in 6 delicious flavors too. Skin and bones, sure. But as the photographer says, what both? My cousin heard that on my machine, left a message, and she said, you know what? You are one arrogant person. I tell you, you are so arrogant. And she just laughed in the machine like, I have heard it all. And she said she had to let her friends come over and call my phone till they could hear it. They say, listen at my cousin. This girl is over the top. Yeah, that was fun.
So in your modeling, did you develop runway as well as editorial?
Well, I've always been runway, excuse me, like my hair. I've always been a runway model, period. I was never a print model, I like that type of work. I always was a runway model. All my work was always high fashion runway. Because, because when you're tall, you get to do like the stuff that most people can't do. And that in itself is a blessing all by itself. So runway has always been my thing, runway, fashion shows, but runway. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about your experience at the World Music and Independent Film Festival.
Oh, wow. Yes. I am so elated about that. Yes. The Master June. Oh my God. I love. I've just grown to love him and just not only love him, but to respect him, have so much high regards for him. He's such a incredible, gifted, talented, because his talent comes from God. He's so gifted and multiple talented to be such a great dynamic film producer, writer. And I had the opportunity, he reached out to me because I was one of the models for his production. He had I think it was his annual 5th annual production award for his actors and actresses and stuff. And I was one of the models. They had a show. The show was his production was a part of having models come in to model, I guess, to have that a little entertainment for his actors and actresses. So I was with one of the designers, her name Endai, but with Nell's ensemble, and I was one of her models. And that's where I end up meeting June, Master June himself. And he ended up reaching out to me. And I think he was like, he kind of heard them reading my bio. And so he found interest, like, she's very well-rounded and she's very experienced and have a lot under her belt. And because apart from, the modeling, the singing, all that, as a producer in the industry, written for The Temptation, the legendary, those are my personal friends, I must add. There is only 2 still alive, the original Temptation. Those are my personal friends. I can just pick up my phone and call them like anytime. So, however, I've had the opportunity to write stuff for them and work with them. And so I ended up meeting June, I think because he heard my bio, and he reached out to me and was very interested in me, if I would be interested in being a part of his film production. And I told him I've done stage plays too, and I have had that experience as well. So I say I would love to. And so that's how I came on board with his film production. And I'm just so elated about that. I've had the opportunity to be in one of his films. We filmed several weeks ago in Hanover, Maryland. I played the role of an oncologist. That's a cancer doctor, a specialist. So I had the opportunity to be an oncologist doctor, which I had a lot of lines, but I told him, I guess when he sent me the role in the script, I was like, it's a lot. He was like, it's a lot, but I told him I can contain that, process that, because as a songwriter, you contain and remember songs all the time. It's easy for me because I'm a creator. So that was just that was nothing to that. I think I learned all of my scenes and lines like a day and a half. So I knew. So that was a huge opportunity, and I'm so grateful for him for that. And that is for his film entitled Tired of Living but Afraid to Die. I'm the oncologist doctor in that film. And then also I just filmed with his production this past Saturday up in Herndon, Virginia, at the Marriott. Yes, and I played the role of a attorney, attorney Robinson. He placed me. He said it'd be easy just to say your name. So I played as a counselor, leading counselor in that particular for that film. And so it was it was like a long day Saturday there, but it was so much fun. Had such a great time working with such great talented people and stuff, other actress and stuff. It was an actor, is even including yourself and your lovely wife. I just adore you both and stuff. Such great people, great energy. And so with that, and again, that was just awesome. And I had a lot of lines for that. So I think we did like 4 different scenes and stuff this weekend and stuff. So it was awesome being the leading attorney. And so June was like, you went from being a doctor, now oncologist, and now you're an attorney. So that was pretty dope. And it makes it easier and it was easy for, to just step into the characters of both characters, made it easier because I lost several close loved ones in my family back home from cancer. So it resonated for me, like hit home. So it made it really natural for me to be able to play the role because it was so personal. So I became that person. I became, it was just personal. So I became, that role was just so easy for me to do. And even as the attorney, I told like his leading actress, yourself and your wife, and it's her name, Amelia. And she said, Ivy, oh my gosh, you're so natural as an actress. And I said, it's easy to be an attorney for me because I have several attorneys back home in my family. And I have a cousin who's also a judge. And I have a niece who's in school to be, just finished. She's in law school and she wants to be a judge. And she just graduated her master's at Cambridge in England and stuff. So she wants to be a judge. So I got that kind of long string of people like in my family and, as attorney. So I've been around them. So it's kind of easy to play that role and know the attire too, like the attire to dress for that particular character. So yes. And again, I thank June so much for the opportunities because he is just a very incredible individual, and I have great respect for him.
Yeah, exactly. June is very good. He gives people opportunities. My wife Randy and I, we've been acting in a lot of June's films as well. Well, the main thing that we're both executive producers of his film, but we also get to act. He gives us great opportunities, and it was great seeing you. On the last over the last weekend and other times when you were doing your scenes. And I'm hoping that someday we will have a scene together. That would be great.
Oh, I would love that because I enjoyed watching you on the screen. I enjoyed that. It's like you are a natural. Oh my God. You know, you played, I saw you firsthand, you know, as a doctor, the role you played when I was on set as the oncologist for the same film. Yes, the same film. And I thought that was pretty awesome watching you as a doctor. And I'm like, oh, so this weekend here you were a doctor and you were a judge on the screen on that film that we watched after shooting on Saturday and stuff. To see you as a judge. I was like, oh, it was like a natural for you. I was like, oh my God. Yeah, it was so you was just very impressive. So I enjoyed watching you.
Yeah. So you can see June is with us. And hi, June. Welcome.
Hi, June.
We were just talking about your, about the opportunities that you give everybody, and the fact that we were just, together shooting recently. So glad to have you here.
Yeah, giving him all his accolades.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
So as I said, that was great that modeling in June's WMIFF and then being in his films and stuff. That's great.
Yes.
Really great. Yeah. Okay. Well,
It's
let's
a
move
blessing.
on. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to back to the music. We discussed some of that before. And you said you grew up in the church and you got your first musical experience there. What was your how did you get in terms of performing professionally? What was your first professional gig, or whatever you want to call it?
Well, from that, I started just venting out and doing like computer, like back then, my research and stuff. And how I got my opening as a professional, I started like in the bands. I got picked up. I would go to the clubs. I would see, various bands and stuff. And then I would talk to them and tell them I'm a singer, I'm an artist and blah, blah. So from that, I started getting picked up by bands as a vocalist. And that's where I got my first break, really break, that was professional in my eyes. I'm in a band, I'm in a rock band, this is cool. So I played in I was a singer in a lot of bands, and I had the opportunity to be a part of bands from even when I was still living in Florida. I get picked up from musicians in Philadelphia who used to come to Florida. I got picked up by them. Musicians from New York and New Jersey, and I got picked up by them. So I performed with a lot of bands, which was really, really awesome. At that time, I was young. I loved what I did. And then from there, I started venturing out, and my name was getting around, and I went into doing what they call dinner supper music, because I've always had a love and passion, because all around I always tell people I'm musically inclined, and people would always say, Ivy, what is your genre? And I say, specifically, I don't have a specific genre, because I feel like, for my personal experience, if you are a true musician and you're a true artist, you don't discriminate with any genre. I don't have, and basically I don't have a preference, because even on my first album I released in 2013, which I gave you a copy of it when I gave you that copy, I have a diverse album, because I've always said I never want to put myself in a box to say I'm just I'm an R&B singer, or I'm a jazz singer, and to each his own. If that's their preference, that's their preference. I have no problem with that. But for me, I feel like my personal feelings are that a true artist loves any kind of music. It could be rock, it could be heavy metal rock, it could be country, because I am a diehard fan country. I love country music. even when I was singing in bands, I sung a lot of country songs as well. I was so diverse, and that's why a lot of musicians, I used to get a lot of gigs all the time, a lot of gigs, because they loved me. They're like, this chick Ivy is diverse. I could sing R&B, jazz, classicals. So I used to, my biggest list, like when it came to songs, when it country music, I was always a big diehard fan of Reba McEntire and Trisha Yearwood. And yes, and I used to sing like a lot of Reba McEntire songs, Trisha Yearwood, Sheryl Crow, and people used to just like freak out. They couldn't believe I could just master these artists' music and sing them like their minds. And I just love the diversity of just being able to sing great songs, and it doesn't have to be one, genre for me. And so I ended up like doing dinner supper music because I always loved classical music, Frank Sinatra, all those, Ben Crosby, Sammy Davis. I loved all those classical songs. So I ended up getting a contract with the Ritz-Carlton. I started doing dinner supper music, like dinner time music. I would perform during dinner. It's called dinner supper. So I started singing classical music, and that just furthered my career even greater, like opened up so many huge doors because I was singing all the, the classical tunes and stuff, Nat King Cole, Natalie Cole. So yes, so that's where I got my biggest break in that. And then it just continued to just go up and up and up. And then I had got an invitation out of the nowhere. Someone told someone about me, and this huge Hall of Fame, he became my friend, and he passed away. His wife called me that morning, he died. And I had the honor to sing and do the opening singing to his crusade, the Hall of Fame legendary NFL Reggie White from the Philadelphia Eagles. He became my personal friend. And the weekend when we were together and heard at the Marriott, it was so weird because me and June went to put in the order for the food and stuff for us, after we finished filming. We went in there and he started ordering the food, and I'm standing there watching the TV screen, and who comes on the screen? And I almost broke, literally crying. And this guy at the bar looked at me. He's like, "You okay?" And June was placing the order. And I said, "Oh my God." And Reggie White, they was doing a documentary of him, but he became one of my personal friends. So anytime he used to come to South Florida to do crusades, he always called me, and I perform and sing at his crusade. The Hall of Fame legendary Reggie White from the Green Bay Packers, Philadelphia Eagles. Oh my God, yeah. And that brought back memories seeing him Saturday on TV. Yeah. So I've been blessed. God has blessed me. I've done so many incredible things when it came to my music. I had the opportunity to get a call to sing at the senator who was the senator from Connecticut, Massachusetts. Yeah, Ted Kennedy. I sung at his burial in Arlington Cemetery. Yeah, that was an honor. And I got to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger. I got to meet all the Kennedy the children. It was just that was like a dream. That was like a dream come true. So I've been blessed with so many opportunities. And so I'm so gratefully, but so humble. And, just thankful to God for all of the opportunities and doors he's opened in my life and stuff. So my story my life is such a testament.
So we, let's see, Shabbat. This is from 2013, and let's talk a little bit more about that. Okay. And okay, why did you decide to put this particular album out there?
Well, I figured, I had been singing cover music for years and years and years, everyone else's music. And I just felt like it was just time for me to finally put out something of my own, to make it to personalize it for myself, for Ivy. And I decided, you know what? I work with other artists. I write and help write stuff for the Temptations. They're like, I think I need to do something for me, just to have something of mine with my name on it, or my print, my signature on it. And I decided, you know what? If I'm collaborating and writing for other artists, I'm gonna start writing songs for myself. And that's when I began to make that decision, because I say you got to take out the time and fit it into everything that you're doing, and just put time aside, and just eliminate certain things that's not, and prioritize things that's what's important. What's enough, I can let go of this or let go of that, so I can sit down and be able to focus on just putting my own personal stuff out. And I knew then, I was like, I started writing my own music and own songs, and co-produce and produce a lot of my music myself, and with a collaboration with another producer out of Miami and stuff, to help produce some sounds for me as well. But sat down and I wrote all my music. I compose, I arrange all that. And basically the songs that's actually all on my album, when people listen to them, when people listen to any of my songs on there, they're like, you can tell my songs have a story. It's always a story. Yeah, and people would ask me, how does writing, how do you, what makes you like stand apart, like what even, basically, how do people write? What is the concept of writing? And would tell people, I don't know what someone else's concept is for writing, but for me, I've always felt compelled when I would write for other people. It's always it's a storyline for me. Or sometimes I could just be sitting with someone, an individual, and they talk to me about telling me about a situation or something they're going through, or it could be personal and it's confidential sometimes. And I would go back and just write their story, but use no names, for the protection, because you can get sued. And so that's how I always create my writing, became so creative, because the way I write is based on sometimes my life or personal experience, or something I went through. And then if it contains someone telling me a good story, a love story, or something, how they fell in love, and sometimes I felt compelled to go and write their love story, but with no names. And so to me, that's the beauty of being able to write music and lyrics, because you can tell stories about my life, someone else's life, and no one will ever know. But I know one particular person, I wrote a song about them, and their name wasn't mentioned, because you can't do that, but they knew the song was a story I told them, and they got a little upset. Well, they felt a little offended by me writing that, and I apologized to them, but they was like, they got over it. They was like, oh, well, you making money from this song, but they were upset because when they first heard that song on the radio, they got upset because they say, that's my life. She wrote about me. But I say, when they called me, I say, I didn't say your name. I didn't say your name. I didn't say, and I didn't, because you can't do that. And people don't realize people write stuff about people's life all the time. Even the big artists and stars, they do. That's why sometimes they have collaborations and butt heads and stuff, like some of the big name artists and stuff, because there was one time where, like, I think Chris Brown and another artist was going at it because they would write songs about there's situations of fights with each other, but you can get sued, but they don't use names. But and sometimes you can get in trouble as a writer too, because if you're writing about someone's life and they think it's about them, but they can't prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt, so it becomes admissible in court because there isn't no names. So, but I just think it's a beauty to be able to write, especially and when you're writing about beautiful things and stuff. But sometimes I only write things because sometimes it's a teaching, a learning lesson. So that's why I love writing and creating music and stuff, because it's an art. It's a form of art, and sometimes it's therapeutic for people, a love story. And, so it's, I just love it. I just love it. And that's the reason why I did my album. Yes.
Yeah. That's good. That's great. Okay. Okay, we're going to pause for another brief message, and we'll be right back. I'm Alan Greenstein, founder and producer at Support Our Hashtag Creatives. If you make something, albeit make a movie, start a business, write a book, make a physical product, run a nonprofit, promote people, are a songwriter, etc., you too are a creative, and I would love to have you be a guest on the Support Our Hashtag Creatives podcast. If you want to be featured on this podcast, please use the contact tab on my website at supportourcreatives.com or email me directly at alan@supportourcreatives.com. Okay, and we're back. Okay, so do you have any advice for people who want to emulate what you do?
Okay. Well, I guess for me, the best advice I would give people in general, for me, in general speaking, know what it is within your heart, in your soul, in your gut that you want to do. And if it's something you really, really passionate, because it's got to be passionate, because sometimes people want to, sometimes in life you find people who want to mimic what you do. And sometimes it's good when people look up to that, but then when it's to the point where you want to do something to emulate what someone else does, but you're not willing to put the work in, then, you can't succeed if you don't put the work in. But I would say to anyone, if they want to achieve anything, the sky's the limit. I'm not invincible. I'm not an island. I always tell people each one can reach one, and whatever it is you solely desire, you can truly make it happen. Because listen, as long as you wake up the next morning and God gives you life, health, and strength, you're breathing, you have all your faculties, your limbs, you can achieve and do whatever it is you desire to do. Be it a model, be it a pageant queen, be it an actress, be it a motivational speaker, whatever your heart desire, a songwriter, and I'm the type, I'm very open, because I also used to teach teach voice lessons and stuff. I used to give voice lessons when I lived in Florida as well. So I'm a vocal coach. I can teach people, vocals, how to sing and stuff like that, and all the breathing techniques and exercise. So if it's something you're passionate about, whatever it may be, I would say get with people who are already doing it and doing it well, and always be willing and just willing and open to learn. Because sometimes, because I always tell people, as much as I have contained throughout my career and my life, as a model, 30 plus years, a half a century. So I try not to tell my age because people never believe me anyway. So I stopped doing that. I'm just, blessed to, that God has really helped me looking the way I look, that youthfulness. But whatever it is, if I can be an assistance or a help to you, I'm very open where you could email me, you could inbox me. And I always feel as though, you got to, much is given, much is required. So those are my words I would say to anyone that desires to do whatever the professional they want to be in, be it a musician, be it a songwriter, be it an actress, be a model, be into pageants and stuff. It's all about information too. I'm open to give information to anyone because listen, I always say is you got to always pass the torch down to the younger people and the younger generation as well. Because, we're the pioneers and we have to know how to pass the torch and also be able to step down and reach down and go back to help others. So if you're passionate about whatever it is you would want to do in your life, whatever it is, just be willing to put the work in because it does take hard work. People who know me personally, my friends, they always say, "Oh, your work is fun. Your work is not real." They like to say, they always tell you, "Your work is not real. You get paid to just do play stuff." I say, "Honey, it's they like to they tease me, but they know it's real because a lot of times I'm tired. I don't get enough rest and sleep. I don't because I wear multiple hats. I do a lot of things, and God has truly blessed me to master all of them. And I'm grateful to him for that. So again, if it's something you desire to do, be or become, and just be willing to put, my best advice is be willing to put the hard work in because hard work pays off, and if you do that, you will, if you do that, you will succeed, but you will only succeed, but you will also achieve, so.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you for that. As Randy has just joined us, you can see her name there.
Oh, awesome. Hi, Randy. How are you? I love her. Such a beautiful soul.
Yeah. No, thank you. Okay, now finally, how can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. I can be reached through my email because I check my email like constantly. That's my work. That's business for me. So I'm always in my email every chance I get. So they can reach me at my email, which I think you may have like across the screen, which is my first name, Ivy, Ivy. A as in Apple, R as in Rhonda, N as in Nancy, E as in Edward, T as in Tom, T as in Tom again, E as in Edward at gmail.com. That is Ivy Arnett. Arnett is my middle birth name. Arnett, that's first name again, Ivy Arnett, A as in Apple, R as in Rhonda, N as in Nancy, E as in Edward, T as in Tom, T as in Tom again, E as in Edward at gmail.com. Or if you want to reach me, you can reach me through also my social media platform or my Instagram, IG platform. You can message me through there, through messengers as well, or my TikTok messenger. Yeah, those as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, Ivy, for being on today. We've learned about all the different things that you were involved with. Amazing, so many different things. Yeah. And I just want to thank the people who are watching live and also those who are watching on the replay. This will be Spotify. Will be one of the places that you can watch the replay. And with that, well, we're going to say good night, everybody.
Good night, and thank you so much for having me. You can also find me on LinkedIn. That will show you some of my bio and all that as well. So.